My wife has slept with another lady and her husband and wants me to do the same. So I'm not sure where to begin. I'm not the wisest person. I guess I'll just start telling you. My wife and I have been married for almost 5 years. Our kid is 2 years old, and I have a 10-year-old daughter from a prior relationship. My wife began working with a new coworker on April 20. Let's call her Amelia, and the regular friend stuff begins. At first, they did conventional things like messaging and tagging one another on various social media platforms. Things that are typical. Amelia is in a relationship with a male as well. I'm not sure if they're married or not. Later, I began to notice things. Wife would remain up all night, contacting Amelia. Her wife spends a lot of time with her. Nothing major. I figured that was just friend stuff. Something strange occurred to me one night. My wife and I have gone to bed. I'm fast asleep. I wake up and she rushes to hide her phone. I don't think much of it. I go back to bed and start to fall asleep until I do. And she pulls out her phone to erase a few messages. I'm half sleepy and don't pay attention to it right now. We start getting into more arguments about this time. She's going to Amelia's house more frequently, and they're going places more frequently. It begins to boil over about June 21st. We had a grand quarrel which ended with my wife running away that night to her Amelia. After more arguments and messages, I tell her I want a divorce and that we can no longer provide a secure and stable environment for our child. We eventually figure it out. It explodes on June 26th. I'm at work when I get a message from my wife. Amelia is going to live with us, according to my wife, since her boyfriend booted her out and she has nowhere else to go. That doesn't suit me, I tell my wife. I'm wary of Amelia. I inform my wife that you and your girlfriend may now do anything you want. I don't give a damn any longer. She answers by saying, well, I'll always love you and care for you since you're the father of my kid, and that will never change. Amelia's partner thinks Amelia and I are together. He's jealous and controlling and she needed to get away from him. Sometimes sentiments arise that I am powerless to change. Now that you threatened to divorce me, I see you're not as invested in our relationship as I thought you were. I press her and she finally admits that she and Amelia had a physical affair, which confirms my assumptions. To cut a long tale short, she says it's because Amelia was emotionally there for her during our conflicts and fights. She also claims she's been selfish about the whole thing, and I was always fascinated about females. Against my better judgment, I try my best to work through this, and we begin to restore our relationship. I'm not the most wonderful person on the earth. I say nasty things, then apologize because I always got the impression that something didn't match up. The story didn't set well with me. She claims they touched each other several times, but only had intimacy once. Nonetheless, it never added up. Amelia's texts to my wife after they stopped conversing smelled nothing like a fling. Things like genuine love and her being the one messages on her phone that didn't make sense and had no context, leading me to suspect most of them were deleted. Pretty pictures on my wife's phone, pictures of her wearing makeup and everything else. I contacted Amelia and her partner about a week ago to apologize. I didn't think they deserved one, but I felt obligated to do so because I had said some nasty and harsh things to them. I did it more for myself than for anyone else. Amelia and I start chatting, and she tells me about a lot of what has transpired. She then gives me the shocking news and asks that her partner call me. When I pick up the phone, he informs me that I cannot accept your apology because I too had intimacy with your wife. Anyway, my wife had intimacy with this couple several times because she wanted to try a woman, and the guy wouldn't let Amelia have intimacy with my wife until he joined. I'm completely ruined. I felt like my wife sacrificed me, our kid, and my daughter for something so selfish, and I offered to do it for her, but she refused because she didn't want anybody else touching me. I'm at a loss for words and have no clue where to turn. I never thought about it that way. Edit. My wife had no further contact with either Amelia or her partner. They were all guilty of having intimacy twice altogether. Wife and Amelia have acknowledged to kissing and caressing each other. My wife says the intimacy was only with them. My wife claims that Amelia's spouse is overly jealous and nervous when they are alone together. Wife has done all I've requested of her for reconciliation. She's informed family members, turned on GPS tracking, and recently consented to a post-nuptial arrangement. Recently, my husband discovered evidence on my phone, a video sent by another man involving both of us. He stated that we need to divorce and that he no longer wants me since I was exploited by someone else. As a result, I was caught cheating. We've been together for almost 10 years. Over the years of marriage, our relationship has been great and everything has been fine. We had little disagreements every now and again, but we always worked it out. I started seeing this man at work last year. This guy appeared to be quite interested in me, and I appreciated the attention I was receiving from new individuals. Subsequently, our interactions escalated into a physical relationship, and I continued to engage with him regularly. Lately, my husband discovered the affair by going through my phone and stumbling upon a video sent by the other man, capturing our intimate moments. My husband saved the video to his phone. I only found out about it when I got home one day and called him to see when he would be home from work. He responded by saying he would stay with his cousin temporarily. He said, "I can't even bring myself to meet you." When I asked about the reason, he sent me a video and the shock overwhelmed me, making me break down and burst into tears. I started flooding him with messages and calls, apologizing and begging him to forgive me. He didn't answer. I went to his cousin's house, but no one was there. So I asked his cousin's wife where he was, and she asked why I was crying and what had happened between us. When I informed her I couldn't talk, she stated they had a party at the other home, and she remained since she was unwell. I dashed there and spotted my hubby. I raced up to him, got down on my knees, and attempted to hug him. He appeared depressed and was drinking heavily. He then turned away from me and headed back to his truck. I saw a mutual friend of ours there and realized that she had a thing for him, since she had told me about it some time ago. She lunged at me, telling me that I didn't deserve such a man. I rushed to my husband's car and she rushed after me. My husband slammed the door in my face, and this woman stated that I should leave him alone for a while. Afterward, he departed for his cousin's residence, retreating to the extra home situated at the rear. That night, I returned home and slept alone. The following morning, I visited the house where he was staying, assuming he was alone. However, upon entering, I was confronted with the disconcerting sight of him in bed with our mutual friend who liked him. When she noticed me, I lunged at her, but his cousin intervened and pulled me back as he heard me screaming and yelling. I later approached her for a conversation and asked her what she was doing with my man. She seemed unfazed and laughed in my face, stating that I would lose him and that he would be hers. I did not speak to my husband after that and went back to our house where I sobbed for several hours until I decided to talk to him. We walked and I tried to make up, but he seemed distant and upset. He now claims he stayed with that other woman and is sleeping with her. He expressed the need for a divorce, explaining that he no longer wanted to be with me because of my involvement with another. He suggested that I stay with another person. I am devastated and upset. Is there any way to win him back or convince him to choose me over another woman? This situation is incredibly painful and I miss him. I am so frustrated and lonely when he doesn't come home or he isn't there for me. I desperately need help. I am overwhelmed with emotion and want to feel him near me again to feel protected like I used to. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what